Hey everybody, Fetty here. I wanted to talk to you today about one of my favorite tools in my toolbox. We all love those kinds of tools that let you tear things up and rip things apart and put things together. And all of us guys, it's in our DNA, we just like to cut stuff, you know. But what I really like to do is put that finishing touch on something I've been working on and make it look pretty. I don't know, maybe it's the chick in me, but I just like to make my projects look nice and make them look pretty. And that's what this system here allows me to do. What this is a self-contained HVLP spray system. This one's made by Fuji Spray, and this is the Mini-Mite 4, and it's a HVLP, high volume, low pressure. You know, I've been around spray painting all my life, everything from a crackle can to, you know, Daddy always had an old car he was wrenching on or painting on, and some of my earliest memories are shooting candy apple red lacquer on an old Camaro being pushed by a homemade air compressor. So what I can tell you is the technology in spray systems has come a long way in the decades since then. And what this does, this unit here, this turbine, generates about 8.5 pounds per square inch of force, of pressure, runs it through the tube here, the hose, and the engineering of these spray guns allows, you know, they're able to take that little bit of pressure and throw out a whole lot of paint, throw it out accurately, and throw it out consistently. And consistency is one of the most important aspects of, you know, painting or finishing. You got to know that you're going to get the same result today as you did yesterday and will tomorrow. So it's really consistent, and I've gotten perfect finishes every time. If you've watched any of my videos, you've seen me use this equipment a lot, and I get great results from it. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about today is just all the different components that go into this, how they work, how you take it apart, and maybe some of the results you can expect to get if you decide to get one or if you already have one. So let's get started. So everything starts right here with this turbine. This is a Mini-Mite 4 and it's a 4-stage turbine. I don't really know what that means. Fuji Spray makes some 3-stage turbines. This one's a 4. I guess it just means it has more gearing or something. I don't know. But this is where everything starts, and this turbine here generates the air that's, you know, pushing out to your spray guns. It's kind of like a vacuum cleaner if you think about it. If you had a vacuum cleaner and reverse the polarity on it, instead of sucking air in, this thing's blowing air out. And that's all there is to it. There's not a lot of maintenance involved with this turbine. There's a couple of filters on the side right here, and you just from time to time pull these filters out, wash them out a little bit, and stick them back in. Other than that, all you're doing is just plugging it in and turning it on. Now, on the front here is kind of your outlet for your air, and your hose right here, it looks like just a hose fitting like you'd put on your spigot at your house. It just goes on the front and screws down. Just kind of, you don't have to have a wrench or nothing, just get it tight with your hand, and that's fine. So that's all there is to that part. Now when I ordered this system, it came with the turbine, the hose, and I ordered mine with a gravity cup spray gun. I don't know how many ounces that is. It's a little bit less than a pint, I guess. And that's what you get. You know, you get a cleaning kit and a viscosity cup and a couple things like that, but that's essentially what comes when you order. I liked it so much that in time I bought another spray gun, and the reason I did that is now what I do is I only spray paints out of this one, and I only spray polys and stains out of this one. And I'll talk about it in a minute, but I've got each one of them set up with the proper needle for that application. You don't have to do that. I mean, I got along with this one just fine for a really long time, but having two kind of saves me kind of break down and switch over and set up, and lets me just kind of keep the workflow going. So a lot of people ask me, is this thing loud? Well, yeah, it's loud. I mean, it's a friggin' vacuum cleaner turned around backwards. It makes some noise and it's pretty annoying, but it's not any louder than your table saw or your miter saw. They make noise too. Now, Fuji makes some products, some of their turbines that have some noise reduction technology built into it, and the way I feel about that is you're just paying a lot of money to, make it just a little bit quieter. So who cares? It makes some noise, big deal. So once this thing generates the air, and like I said, it's only about 8.5 pounds, comes through your hose, and that's where it goes into your spray gun. Has a little, like you pull down on that unit, and it just locks in. So let me turn it on, you can hear how loud it is. So yeah, it's kind of loud, it makes a little bit of noise, but I'm standing right in front of it with this mic on. So, you know, sitting right here, right beside it, it's pretty loud, but I don't feel like I need ear protection or anything. But you got to remember, when you're painting something, this thing's going to be sitting here, and you'll be painting it, you know, 20 feet away. I don't know exactly how long that hose is. It's 15 or 20 feet. So that's kind of how this unit works together. Let me move this out of the way, and I'm going to talk to you about the spray guns. A lot of the beauty in this spray gun is its simplicity. There's not a whole lot of adjustments you have to make. There's basically 2 adjustments. On the back, there's a knob that you turn which will control your flow of your material, your paint or poly or whatever. And then on the front, there's a knob that controls the fan, how wide of a spray you'll have. Now this flow control, if you back it out counterclockwise, that sends more material out the nozzle. If you turn it clockwise, it constricts down the flow. On the fan, if you turn the knob, you know, you're painting this way, if you turn the knob toward you, it opens the fan up a lot. If you push it forward, it squeezes down the fan. What I like to set mine at is about 1/3. I pull it back and open it up about 1/3. And that gives me a good fan combined with the amount of material that's coming out for me to paint the way I like to. Of course, painting, it's all about technique. It depends on how far back you're holding your gun from your material. Depends on the speed that you're moving, and you have to be consistent. So painting is really about technique and practice, and I recommend anybody getting started in this, just shoot paint. Just shoot a lot of paint. This gun will tell you if you're doing something wrong. You'll know it right away. So that's the beauty of this. It's not very complicated and having to make a lot of different adjustments on the spray gun. Now, the cup, it's a gravity fed cup, and there's really nothing to it. It has a lid, but really important, inside of the lip of that lid right here is a little rubber washer, and you got to get that in there the right way, because that makes a seal on this cup. And if you don't have it in there the right way, or you don't have a good seal, what will happen is you'll start losing pressure in your cup. It'll affect your spray coming out, but worse than that, it'll start pushing material, your paint or your poly or whatever, will start dripping down your cup, and you won't know it until you're going along wondering what's wrong, and you blob a big gob of poly on your surface, and then life changes forever. So, you know, just make sure you have your washer on the inside of the cup properly. Now, the way this works, you have your air coming in right here, and it does its magic inside this spray gun, and it sends air through this hose here into your cup, and it pressurizes that cup. Now on this hose is a check valve, and it only lets movement go in one direction. And I think the reason is so if you accidentally turn your cup upside down and you get paint coming down through here, it'll stop it and protect the inside of your spray gun. It'll ruin that check valve, but it'll protect the inside of your paint gun. So taking this thing apart is really easy, and cleaning it. Now, if you're painting a lot, if you're painting today and you know you're going to paint tomorrow, it's perfectly acceptable to rinse your cup out several times with some warm water, and then fill it up, hook it up, and spray water. You know, just hold it down and spray for a minute or two and clear out, you know, all the paint and clean it out that way. It's okay to do that, but don't do that if you're going to put this thing away for the winter. In fact, I clean mine, I break it down every single time. It doesn't take that long, and it's pretty easy to do, and you know it's clean. Taking this thing apart, it's nothing to it. Your gravity gun has a little screw on the side right here. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just unscrewing that right here. Then the cup's off, and you can clean it out. You can take your little brush and clean inside the outlet tube here and clean that out, and you can clean it. The front here, where your needle and all that assembly is, just take that apart, turn it counterclockwise. This cap will obviously fall off, okay? Then come to the back here and go ahead and back that flow control all the way out. Now be careful, there's a spring in there. Okay, see the spring? Now once that spring's out, you can come to the front of your gun with a little crescent wrench, and there's, I don't know the parts, I'm sorry, I don't know the names of these things, but there's a little retaining, I don't know, there's a little thing on the front, and you just turn it counterclockwise, and it cinches down twice. So the first time you break it free, you got to do it again. So what I mean by that is, you saw it break loose there a second ago. I've got to do it again to kind of get it to turn. Okay. So once that's out, it's just a little cap for your needle. You got to clean the inside of that real good too. Run water through it and take your little brush. And then your needle right here, if you can see it, you just push your needle, it comes out the back. At that point, you can run water down through here, and it comes out the front, and put water in through there, and take your brush and go to town with it. So you do that a few times, this thing cleans up really nice, and you don't have to worry, you know, just paint or polish set up in there and gum everything up. Putting it back together, really easy. Just take this little thing here. I don't know if you can see that. Take this little needle cap or whatever that thing's called right here. Just want to screw it in to the front. Take your crescent wrench, tighten it down. Now tighten it, but don't torque a piss out of it now. You'll never get it back off. So just tighten it good. Okay, once that's done, you come to the back of your gun with your needle right here. There's a hole inside of it. You run it through like this. Make sure it kind of comes through the trigger here. Push it all the way in. Take your spring. Take that cap right there. Tighten her down. Go ahead and put your cup back on right here. Take this little spray cap or whatever that is, put it on, and come in with this top part, screw it down, and you're done. Now, one of the things that I failed to mention a minute ago is, you know, sometimes when you're painting, you want the fan to be this way, and sometimes you want it to be that way. And you can accomplish that by changing the orientation of this tip here. Now, when the tip is going straight up and down, that means your fan will be in this direction here. It'll be like this. And if you move the tip to where it's flat, like this, your spray will be the opposite. So really 3 adjustments on this spray gun: flow, fan, and orientation of the fan. That's all there is to it. This spray gun really not much to it either. You have a cup, okay? Have this down tube here. You have a filter that goes on it. Okay. Put the unit together like this. Has a little thing there that you kind of tighten it down with. All the other controls work the same with the flow and the fan and the orientation of the flow, or the orientation of the fan. And taking it apart, you've got the only thing that's different is taking the cup off. You got a nut right here. You just want to turn it clockwise, and your whole cup comes apart. So that's really kind of all there is to how the spray guns work, and the way you take them apart and clean them. The next thing I want to talk about is the different kinds of paints you shoot with it and the types of needles that you use to accomplish that. So the million-dollar question is, can I shoot latex out of this paint system? And the answer is yes, you can, but you got to thin your paint properly and you got to use the right size needle. Now I'm not going to go into a big tutorial on how to thin paint because I have another video that shows you how to do that. But basically, if you're going to shoot latex, you need to thin it with water and some of this stuff called Floetrol. And if you're going to thin like a furniture grade finish paint, thin it with water and a product kind of like this General Finishes extender. Works really good. So you need to thin it properly and you need to use the right size needle in your spray gun. Now Fuji, they offer a lot of different size needles, but I have 3 of the most commonly, I guess commonly used ones, or the most common sizes, the 3 that work best for me. The blue, the one, they color code them, so that makes it easy. The blue one, it's a 1 millimeter, and it's really good for stains if you wanted to shoot some stain, which I don't know, I have kind of mixed feelings. It can get kind of messy. It saves a lot of time, but it's kind of messy to do. But the blue is a 1 millimeter. It works really good with stains. The gold tip, or the yellow tip, is 1.5 millimeter. And that's what I shoot poly with, and it works really good. It does a great job with poly. I use like a water-based polyacrylic, and it just does really good coming out of this gun with this needle. The green tip is 1.8 millimeter. And that's what I use to shoot thinned latex and thinned like furniture grade, finish grade paint, and it does a great job with that. So if the paint's thinned properly and you're using the right gun or the right needle in the gun, you'll get really good results with it. So kind of wrapping up here, I want to talk about some of the accessories that you can buy to go with this system and some of the routine maintenance parts that you need to have on hand. There's not a whole lot of accessories you need to think about buying with this system. I mean, you want to get needles for the different applications that you're going to be using, but one accessory I recommend you thinking about is this flexible hose. Now, the hose that comes with the spray gun is big and beefy and heavy, and mine's pretty dirty. And if you're painting for a really long period of time, this heavy hose and the heavy spray gun and the paint in it, I mean, it will start to wear you out, and it'll affect your performance in painting. This hose doesn't weigh very much. It's about 5 or 6 feet long, and it takes some of the weight off. But the other really important function that it serves is it gives you 5 or 6 more feet to let the air cool as it comes out. Now, I didn't talk about that, but this turbine generates hot air. So it's pushing hot air through this hose into your spray gun, and it's blowing hot air across your paint. Now, on a hot day or even a not hot day, it will have a tendency to dry your paint quick. So that's why we add things like Floetrol and General Finishes extender. It slows down the drying time. So what this flexible hose does is it gives you 5 or 6 more feet to let the air cool down just a little bit more. So that's a worthwhile investment. Now, some of the other things you need to have on hand, you need to have some extra rubber washers that go in the cap of the gravity cup. These tubes with the check valve on it, you need some of those to have on hand. If you have the other kind of spray gun, the big one, there's washers that seal it up that you need to have on hand. The little filters that go on the down tube. Just any of those things that look like they'd wear out, you need to have an extra on hand. Now, this stuff don't wear out real often, but when they do wear out, you need it. And if, like in the case of these little check valves, the spray gun will not function if you don't have that on there. So those are the kinds of accessories or spare parts you need to have on hand to keep work moving. So closing thoughts on this machine is that I love it. I've gotten great results from it ever since it came out of the box. Factory quality results. Now, it's an investment. I'm not going to lie to you, they're not cheap, but I haven't regretted making this purchase 1 minute. So I'll put a link in the description box of this video that you can click on, maybe go read a little bit more about it. Hope you enjoyed the video, maybe learned something. As always, if you like my videos, remember to give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.